Welcome back to Live Now. Joining me now is Liberal MP Jason Falinski. Jason, appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on the program.
My pleasure, Stacey. How are you?
Good, thank you. Let's start with the visa crackdown statistics. It's been revealed that the government's cancelled the visas of 800 non-citizens last year. Most of those were for rape, murder and child exploitation, other violent crimes as well. Where does the government get their security information on for this, and where do these people go? Do they get sent back home?
Typically, they get returned to the country from where they immigrated from, but obviously the security services provide these details, and this is part of our program to ensure that the Australian community is safe and that we have a immigration program that is robust and continues to have the support of the community and all Australians. Since being elected, the Liberal Party has cancelled the visas of more than 4,000 people, 4,150 people. All of this is about keeping our community safe and ensuring that the people who come to this country are of good character.
Now, can I move on to another issue? Fraser Anning, it's been in the news for the last couple of days. He's defended his attendance at the far-right rally in Melbourne. Is it appropriate that he charged taxpayers almost $3,000 for this?
Well, look, I don't know many, if any, other Member of Parliament who would have attended that rally, and certainly it's not appropriate that he charged taxpayers for attending that rally. But look, we see this in a lot of places. I think that rally is a good example, though, of the importance, or of reminding us at least, that extremism in our political forum is not something that we want to encourage or be part of, and that it's the role of community leaders and certainly members of Parliament to actually stand up to extremism. Because when you start telling people that Australians can be divided on the basis of religion or ethnicity or even gender, that their problems are due to some other group in our society, we have seen historically where that leads to. So it's disappointing to see any Member of Parliament at a rally of that nature.
The Prime Minister condemned the rally, and we've seen calls from other MPs, including Sarah Hanson-Young, for the Coalition to refuse Fraser Anning's vote. Do you think the Coalition should refuse his vote when Parliament resumes?
Well, look, that's an issue, I think, for the leadership of the party to take, and obviously our negotiators in the Senate would need to look at that clearly. I would suspect our preference is not to have him, not to rely on his vote, and that would be made more possible if other senators, particularly in the Greens and the Labor Party, respected the mandate that the government has to govern, in particular when there are policies that we took to the election, got elected on, and that they continue to oppose in the Senate.
OK, well, let's move on to another issue. We've seen some new housing stats out in the past few days. Australian housing prices have had their biggest drop since the GFC. What's the Coalition doing about this in the lead up to the election?
Well, look, the Liberal Party has always had a very clear policy on the housing market in Australia, which is that we believe in every person, or as many people as possible, should be able to afford to live in a house that they own. We have policies in place that achieve that. The Labor Party, on the other hand, is risking that dream for all Australians. As Josh Frydenberg was pointing out just yesterday, the Labor Party's policy on capital gains tax would result in Australians paying a higher level of tax than the people of Venezuela have to pay. Any other country in the world, we would have the highest level of taxes in the world. The International Centre for Independent Economics has pointed out that Labor's policy on capital gains tax would result in $3.7 billion being wiped off our GDP. Wages would be lowered by 0.7%, which is about $600 for the average income earner in Australia. Labor's policies are going to send rents higher, employment lower, wages lower. This is what we are fighting at the moment. This is the very clear choice that Australians will have in May of this year.
Well, they argue that it's going to bring in around $19 billion and the capital gains tax around $12 billion, which will then be spent on health and education. So what's your response to that?
Well, I guess my response to that is that the Economics Committee has been taking expert evidence on the retiree tax that Labor says will raise about $6 billion from pensioners, part pensioners and retirees in Australia every year. What that has shown is very clearly that this as with so many of Labor's new taxes, is it resembles the mining tax 2.0. That it will certainly hit some pensioners and part pensioners very hard, but a lot of other people will the down or the second round impacts of the tax will mean that it will end up costing the government more money. So the actual revenue that they believe that they will be raising is probably never going to come into the government. It will do a lot of harm. It will do a lot of damage to the Australian economy and to people in the economy. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of experts are starting to wonder where they're getting these numbers from. And they won't release the modelling. They won't tell us what assumptions they've made. But, you know, as we saw with the mining tax, they're very happy to spend the money that they think they're going to get. And when none of it comes in, they continue to keep spending. And that's how they racked up a record debt in no time whatsoever. The other point that I would make, Stacey, just quickly, is that we already have record spending in health, education, record spending in aged care, record spending on infrastructure. All these new taxes are going to damage the economy, are going to damage people's employment, are going to damage people's wage levels, their retirement, housing, all of it. And it's not quite clear what it is that they're trying to achieve.
Well, no doubt that modelling is something that's going to be in high demand in the lead up to the federal election. The other thing that's going to be a big issue, particularly for your party, is women within the Liberal Party. It's been in the headlines for weeks, months now. Do you think there should be a quota within the Liberal Party on the number of women to represent you?
Look, I guess when I look around the world and look at political parties that have done very well in terms of making sure that they have a diversity and the best range of people that they possibly can have in Parliament, the scheme that, or the model that I'm most attracted to is the one that David Cameron had and used in the 2010 election, which is a candidate list that the Conservative Party has. That resulted in a record number of women getting elected, but also a diversity of people getting elected, whether it be on the basis of gender and ethnic, but also on experience as well. And when I look at UK commentary at the moment, they still talk about that class of 2010 as being by far the best class of people in the House of Commons, and one that the Conservative Party can be very proud of, and looking forward that will make a very strong contribution to politics in the UK. I guess that's a model that I'm more attracted to, and one that I think we should look at. But obviously, we have a very good parliamentary delegation at the moment in Canberra on the basis of diversity and the skills that people bring to the parliament. That has been more good. It's
only 19 of 83 of the members female.
Well, indeed. And already in the seats that we've pre-selected now, there are 30% of those pre-selected people are women. There are some excellent female candidates that we have. Sarah Richards, Kate Ashmore, Georgina Downer, just to name a few. There's Nicole Flint in Adelaide, who I think is a future leader of the party. So we have a proud record in the Liberal Party. The first female senator was a Liberal. The first female member of the House of Representatives was Liberal. The first female member of Cabinet was a Liberal. The first foreign affairs and defence first female foreign affairs and defence ministers were all Liberals. So we have a proud record. We have a record that we can stand on, and one that we should be promoting. But yes, we have managed to get there through good luck rather than good management, and I think we need a system in place that ensures that that luck is more systemised and something that we can rely on.
OK, well, let's hope so. Jason Falinski, thank you very much. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it too. Thanks, Stacey.